What an absolute legend. If you have not watched it yet, be sure to check out the Kristin Tattar interview. But if you don't have the time to watch it, let me give you a brief rundown and some analysis as to all the stuff that Kristin just shared that has probably never been shared before. Check out my bags. I have a 25% discount for Black Friday, so you do not want to miss out. So she first mentioned that she is coming from a very athletic background, with her mom being a track and field athlete and her dad being a professional rower. And then along with that, she was a twin, with her twin being a boy. So there's definitely some gender bias there, because if you're always competitive against a boy as a female, that will probably drive you a lot more than if you are like an only child and have some gender stereotypes built upon you. But if you have the notion that everybody is extremely competitive in your entire family, then I bet things get a little bit heated and it probably pushes you to become even that much better. And then she goes on to state that she really went all in on long distance skiing. And if you know anything about long distance skiing, it is by no means an easy sport. I kind of see it as like an equivalent to long distance running, and it is definitely one of those sports where you are fighting with yourself again and again and again, and it's really less of a team sport and more just like a solo drive. Because at least coming from a long distance running background, there are so many battles I have to face with myself every day when I'm trying to train for like a marathon. So I know that grind, and she actually did something very similar to me. She pushed herself way too hard and actually couldn't even pursue the sport because she had some heart problems. She didn't really go into detail about it, but I would assume it's like some kind of arrhythmia, maybe tachycardia, where you have some like super elevated heart rate or irregular heart rate. Whatever the issue was, she had to stop as a competitive athlete and kind of pursue other things. And I actually had something very similar where I was going to probably win the cross country state championship, and I actually had a spontaneous pneumothorax, which basically means that my lung collapsed. It was a total disaster, and yeah, I have never been the same since, but I definitely know that feeling of pushing yourself way too hard, and it kind of messes up your whole life trajectory. So I definitely know what that's like. And then in typical Kristin fashion, she kind of glosses over the fact that she was like, oh yeah, life happens, had a kid, and started to pursue being a skiing instructor. But we obviously know that if Kristin is kind of like an only mom, there was some serious struggles that she did not mention, and I'm sure that was very, very hard, but she just said, oh yeah, life happens. And then in crazy fashion, she was at a sports center and was doing cross-country skiing and just happened to see some baskets. And that's how this whole thing started. That's how she became the best of the best, was just kind of practicing on these like random baskets. And she said it didn't even sound like sport. She was just kind of like having fun, just kind of like an interesting hobby. And then from there, she just continued to grind and grind and grind. And that is how she became the best of the best. She actually said that the very first year that she started playing, she won the Estonian national championship, which is just such a legendary story. And then she says this, which I think really encapsulates how truly selfless she is and how she perceives herself on tour.
Ever think like, I'm the best in the world at this thing?
It doesn't really pop up in my mind. This is what the stats and the numbers are showing. And this is subject to change at any time. But it is just currently, this is how it is. And it is just a story about me, nothing more.
And she ends it by stating, honestly, these like crazy goals just kind of come to me and I work towards it and I want to pursue it doggedly. And she says that her next main goal is probably to start instructing people to become their best. I don't know if that means disc golf instructor or just like a general sports coach or like motivational speaking. I don't really know, but I'm assuming it's probably disc golf related. And I love to see that people at the very top of the sport still have such grounded and humble perspectives about their place in the sport, because obviously she knows that she's at the top. She recognizes that, but she's like, yeah, I'm the top right now, but that could change in a day. It is all just like a matter of perspective, and she's very happy with where she's at, but she truly takes no arrogance or pride in the fact that she is number one. Whereas people in MPO definitely have a sense of arrogance, even though I definitely think it is less so now, but it was very much true in the older days of disc golf. So in conclusion, I think it definitely portrays Kristin to be even that much better of a human. We already see these very intense interviews that she gives where she is just being 100% raw. You see so many interviews, even by like what I perceive to be pretty open people, but it's like the press version of them. They have no honesty in the words. They're just like cookie cutter. But when Kristin answers any question, she just gives you the raw information without any sense of entitlement, any sense of fakeness. This is her in her most true self. And I think that is why she is definitely the biggest athlete in the entire sport. It's not Paul, it's not Ricky, and maybe you could argue it's Simon. But I think for people that are changing the view of the sport, it has to be Kristin. Because even just looking at FPO numbers like a couple of years ago, before Kristin came, it was just not the same. But now the entire division feels totally different. The competitive nature of everybody has been pushed so much higher than before, and we finally get to see some true parity, and anybody fighting to beat Kristin is a new story. Whereas before, it was kind of just like a page race where she would just dominate again and again and again. So with that said, what do you guys think? Did you have any different takeaways? I'd love to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out my bags. I have a 25% discount for Black Friday, so you do not want to miss out. And with that, Wild Runs signing out. Peace. Happy holidays.